In the Western system, it's about getting to 51%. Then I don't care what the 49%.
In China, whatever you do, even political reform, social change, they should all be oriented towards improving people's livelihood.
As a leader, you're expected to
Yeah.
make tough decisions.
That's true.
Whereas a politician in the
Yeah.
US, you try to avoid them at
That's
all costs.
true. I do not mean our system is the best, but at least we elect competent leaders.
They'd say, freedom is a ballot box. It looks like democracy, but it doesn't achieve it. It's certain democracies for the 1%,
by the 1%, for the 1%.
Professor Zhang Weiwei, it is an extreme honor to be with you. What is Chinese democracy and how does it work?
In the West, this democracy is understood more or less as multi-party system, universal suffrage, one person, one vote. And in China, we would call this procedural democracy. We tend to focus more what I call substantial democracy, or the objectives of democracy, and then procedural democracy. If you compare the Chinese democracy and American democracy, let's use the famous line from Abraham Lincoln, of the people, by people, for the people. Of the people, if you look at the composition of the Chinese public civil servants, 90% come from ordinary backgrounds. Yeah. For the people, over the past 4 decades, people's income have increased over 26 or 27 times. By the people, the Chinese approach are called selection plus election. Then we also have to the people. You have to listen to the people. You have several rounds of discussions and consultations. Then you reach certain decisions. In many ways, if you look at the quality of decisions made by the Chinese state vis-a-vis those made by Western states, arguably Chinese quality is much better.
In the Western system, it's about getting to 51%. Then I don't care what the 49%. If I have 51%, I control, I decide. In China, quite different. I've gone to meetings where people talk for 6 or 7 hours with very opposed views until they get to consensus. Is that a major difference between this Eastern and Western idea, consensus versus control?
Yeah. Consultation or consultative democracy is part of Chinese culture. I describe China as a civilizational state, which means it's amalgamation of the oldest continuous civilization with a super large modern states, with a super large population, 1.4 billion people. The Chinese state at all levels is the most frequent user of opinion surveys in the world. Wherever you have a public policy, a new policy, or a leader is to be promoted, for instance, your names will be made public. We think to be a leader, you need the qualifications. You have to show your competence in your previous terms.
There's a set of criteria, and you have to perform on each one of those.
Okay. And so if you are already doing well in your province, usually people will know. The point is when you have the 30 governors of provinces and 10 of them are doing very well.
So it's a pyramid. You start with a very large base and then you narrow it down based on performance and ability. How much of that ability is the ability to get along with other people? I think in America it's always do people like you? Whereas in China I have a sense that it's whether they respect you.
In Chinese political study, leadership is always among the top subjects, leadership, how to be a good leader. This is called integrity, managerial skill, and personal charm, and ability to unite with other people, with those who disagree with you, Yeah.
This is about proven performance.
That's true.
Going up from
Yeah.
the grassroots level all the way up. In China, as a leader, you're expected to
Yeah.
make tough decisions.
That's true.
Whereas a politician in the
Yeah.
US, you try to avoid them at
That's
all costs.
true. Chinese politics cannot become a coffee shop, talking. They have to reach decisions.
Yeah.
When we say democracy, it's about how you know people, understand your people, and then try to fulfill their whatever wishes, whatever. I do not mean our system is the best, but at least we elect competent leaders. This is for sure.
I understand everything you said, and I agree with it. It should be about performance and everything like that. But what are the justifications? People are going to ask, what are the justifications for the leadership of the CPC?
If you want to understand the modern China and China today, the number one principle is you have to know CPC is an overwhelmingly positive force for China and in the minds of most Chinese. Where China was first unified in 221 BC. So China is a unified country with a unified political entity. Since over 2 millennia ago, Chinese Communist Party has continued this tradition, what I call the holistic interest party.
People will say, that's the weakness.
No,
You
that's
have
the
one
strength.
part. And you say, it's the strength.
I give you an
Understand it.
example. If you look at the tremendous political transition to reform and opening up in 1978, that kind of shift of policy and strategies is greater than the policy differences between Republican Party and Democratic Party in the United States. Yet, these changes of strategies, policies can be managed within one party. And in the Chinese political culture, I would say a top priority is what I call people's livelihood oriented. In political, economic, social domains, you should deliver tangible things to your people. Whatever you do, even political reform, social change, they should all be oriented towards improving people's livelihood, both spiritual, material, and the other domains.
In the West, they'd say, freedom is a ballot box.
Yeah.
All right? And it's the ability to say whatever you want to say. It looks like democracy, but it doesn't achieve it. It's certain democracies
Yeah.
for the 1%.
1%, by the 1%, for the 1%.
1%. We're entering a time of enormous economic hardship.
Yeah.
And the only people who seem to be consistently getting wealthier are that top 1%.
Yeah, that's true. In the United States, the power of capital is way too strong if you compare the two political systems. In the case of China, the richest 100 guys cannot dictate the political bureau. No way whatsoever. In the case of the United States, I'm pretty sure 15 richest
there are.
can do that.
This has been a fascinating discussion.
Fascinating.
I really, really have to thank you. I've learned so much. I
Thank
really
you very
appreciate
much.
your
Thank
views.
you.
And
Thank
look
you.
forward to the next one.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
What does democracy mean to you?
That the people are able to make decisions about the way their country is run.
It is about what's best for the people over profits, over lobbies, over anything that influences a politician.
中国是一个民主国家吗？
你啊，我的代表我只选举过，
您投票的标准是什么？
就是积极参与研究分工。第二，他就要发展经济，说大话说空话，拍脑袋决定拍粗粗的那种，那肯定不行啊。老百姓他要的是实惠嘛，对吧？
你觉得中国老百姓为什么支持中国共产党？
我的父亲他就说，他6岁的时候还没有裤子穿，但是他说就是因为来了共产党来了以后，他有裤子穿了，有车上了，工作干了，现在老了就有退休工资，这么简单。
中国的选举选拔制度有个理吗？
中国这个还是比较公正公平。
我有很多同学是干部嘛，其实很多素质都非常高。
又是选拔又是选举，肯定是把这个他各取所长嘛。
是选举比较重要，还是他们的能力比较重要？
选举和能力都一半一半吧。
如果你将来可以成为一个党员干部，你觉得你可以为老百姓做什么？
让他们的工资往上面涨一涨，假期延迟一点，多一点假期。